the big town and everything, you know, and there's a guy sitting on some steps drinking a quart of beer and playing blues on the guitar. And I had never really seen any white people playing blues before. And so I gravitated right over towards him, you know, which the idea of drinking beer also appealed to me at the time. And Butterfield was into guitar before he got into harmonica. Maybe a little while after I met him, he started playing harmonica, and he was listening to like Little Walter records and Jimmy Reed. And within 6 months, zoom, completely just a natural genius on the instrument. That's all it took for him to learn it, you know. He got about as good as he's ever going to get in 6 months. Amazing. Bloomfield, I met, like I said, I never had any money. I came from a long line of unsuccessful farmers. And we never had, I worked a lot when I was a kid, you know, before I got in. That's why I appreciate the guitar, the music, being able to make a living at it. I feel lucky every day, I thank God. Because I always had to work. I remember one time, my dad had been unemployed for a long time. He finally got a job as a janitor, and my mom typed me a letter on a roll of paper towels that he had brought home from the gig, you know. Glad he had a job. And like I said, I worked in the oil fields in the Panhandle. I worked in the steel mills in Chicago and all that. And I was always stayed pretty broke. So I buy my guitars in the pawn shop. I went to a pawn shop on Clark Street in Chicago. And I said, can I try that one? And the guy, he looked kind of like a smart ass. He handed me the guitar, you know. I hit a few stumbling blues licks that I knew, you know. He said, oh, you like blues, huh? He said, how about this? And he gradually just starts playing all kinds of shit. It was Bloomfield. It was his, it was his uncle's pawn shop. And he worked there. And he was from a wealthy family. If you ever look on the bottom of these, like you go to a restaurant and they got these sugar things, you know, you look on the bottom, there's a P on it. That's Bloomfield. That's his family's millionaires, like, you know. But that's how I met those guys. Yes, sir.